Hi, everybody. This is Coffee Brown, and my YouTube channel is called Coffee Spills the Tea. Now, I am doing this very late at night and then uploading it. So, this will be my weekend video. I might do something at the end of the weekend, not quite sure yet. Um, but okay. So, today I really want to just kind of introduce to you right away that I want to talk about these loans that are coming out. I'm a little bit concerned because I have been seeing reports of people that have been using these short-term loans in order to pay for things, and even things like Grubhub and like Uber Eats and just everything now, and it's not good. We don't have consumer protections that are going to help us, and this is pretty risky to me. And so I thought, maybe if I just kind of bring this up, it might be something people will think about. Okay, so before I go on any further, as I always ask, please um, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and please do share this video with other women. So this is a channel for Black women. We are here to help each other. We're here to uplift each other. We are here to support each other. We are here to practice our self-care, our mental self-care, our physical self-care, to be able to do that for ourselves means that we can do it for people in our community as well, and the people around us that we help to take care of. Okay. So on that note, um, I want people to think back to, if you remember, if you were around during that time. My brother was one of these people that was affected. Back in the early 2000s, there were these, I call them, let's just call them predatory loans. And they were subprime mortgages that they were giving to people who had low credit scores. Realistically, these people should probably not have gotten a mortgage, to buy a house. But, everybody has the right to own a house, to have a house, to be able to have something that they can call their own. This is how we build generational wealth. But unfortunately, what was going on is that a lot of these banks were providing these loans to people who probably should not have gotten the loans. I mean, like either they just probably a combination of didn't have good credit, maybe they just didn't have um enough income, whatever. And so the these subprime mortgages were considered risky. They knew it, and they had these like really high interest rates. Um, and so they had what was called an ARM, or an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. And so what would happen is they, just like my brother, it would start you with a very low interest rate for X amount of years. And in my brother's case was 5 years. And then after that, they would reset to whatever the higher rate was. And most likely, if people were like my brother, they were thinking, great, because by that time I should be more established. I'll have like a great job. I'll be able to make these payments. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people, when that arm came, time to get, for the bank to adjust it, a lot of people then subsequently could not afford those high interest rate payments for their subprime mortgages. And so as a result, there was a lot of foreclosures. There were a lot of people who were defaulting on their mortgages. And subsequently, they lost their house. Like what they were paying for the mortgage was more than what the house was worth. And so they would probably try to make some payments, and most likely would if not bankrupt them, which it did in my brother's case. It would nearly bankrupt them. You would lose everything for this house. And I'm sure a lot of these people thought I have to have a home. They were probably living in places where they had put their kids in school and things of that nature. And you get into a point in your life where you're settled. And I'm sure there was a lot of shame in it as well, because if you lose your house and you have to downsize, or you have to go to an apartment, your friends and your family, your neighbors, everybody knows, and that's just not a good thing. But there was just a glut of these homes that were on the market. The banks had like all these loans that were defaulting, and everything was a mess. It was a mess. And it took quite a while to clean that up. And I've not heard of any of these like predatory loans anymore. They just don't have them anymore. But it just kind of like clawing ourselves out of that, whether it be like individually as an individual, because that was what my brother had to do. He had to claw his way out. He had to move into a tiny house with his wife and kids, and they just had to claw their way out and go through a bankruptcy even for this house. So, like it's they finally got a hold of like this. The government came in and they seized the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae's or Freddie Mac. I forget what they're called. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired because it's late. And and it just took a while to get that all under control. Um, but I also remember like sometime, and I would say maybe the mid 22 or mid teens, like I would say somewhere between 2010 to maybe 2020. There are all these things as well that were like payday loans. Let's call that. And payday loans were also um, predatory as far as I was concerned, because these payday loans would like say, oh yeah, we can give you this money and you'll pay it back over like X amount of months or whatever. And they would throw these huge like interest rates in there, or it would be high interest rate, and they would throw in like all this extra that you'd have to pay over, and they would stretch it out over time. And don't miss a payment, because that would just really like jack things up. And it was also problematic as well. And these payday loans, and I in fact took out a payday loan, and I remember paying back my first payday loan. I got a dog, and the dog had so many issues, medical issues, and I just wasn't aware of it. And I was like, I have to take care of this dog. And so I got a payday loan, and it took everything in me to pay it back, but I did. And then when I paid it back, um, and I would say probably about 2 years later, like right before we went into COVID, maybe about a year before we went into COVID, I had to do another payday loan. And that was because I had a business at that point and my business was not doing well. Um, and so I did another payday loan. And that one I really struggled with because it wasn't a lot of money, but the payments that they had us paying were so high that I struggled. And so I remember when COVID hit thinking, what am I going to do? Because no matter how many payments I made, I felt like I was never bringing these payments down. I wasn't really looking at the payments. I was just getting the bill and making the payments. And I remember talking to somebody at the payday place, and maybe we were maybe 3 months into lockdown, and he was asking, what are you going to do to make these payments? And I was just like, I don't have a job right now. And they hadn't done any kind of like stimmy checks or anything. They weren't doing anything. And so I was just like, I don't have a job. I don't know what to do. I kind of broke down with the man on the phone, and he said, um, I'm really sorry. And he felt so bad when he was talking to me. And he was just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to push this out as long as I can. And don't you worry. Well, um, about 5 or 6 months, this is just my story. 5 or 6 months pass, and I went to check, and the loan was gone in my case. I don't know what happened. I never called them to say, hey, I don't see my loan here. Like I was just like, whatever. But I really get the feeling, and I thank that man for talking to me on the phone because I cried to him and I was just like, I don't know what to do. And he was very sympathetic, and I do believe he just wiped my loan because I owed, and I was telling him, like, I've been making payments on this loan for like 7 months, and you're telling me that the amount that I still have left to pay is like what I took out in the loan. So I got lucky, but a lot of people took out payday loans and weren't so lucky. And, it can get to the point where those predatory loans can get to be a bit much. You are making these really high interest payments, and it just feels like you're going to be paying on them forever. And they always make it like, oh, it's short term. Anyway, so I have never done that before, or not, never done that since. Because I was just like, I'm just not going to do these loans. And in fact, I'm not going to do anything that's going to involve having an issue with my credit. So for me personally, I haven't done anything where I can't keep track of the money. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like um using things like Venmo, Cash App. Um I keep like a couple ones, like I have Zelle because it's on the bank, and I have PayPal because I've had it for since it came out, and I have used it for my business. But I think that these little things like Venmo and Cash App were kind of like getting us used to the idea of like making, having money like come and go, come and go, come and go, and making it really hard for us to account for money, like our money. And so I don't think that they're really a good idea for people to have. I understand. I mean, it's your choice to use it. But I want you to think, like, when you're using your Cash App and your Venmo, and somebody says, "Oh, can you Venmo me this?" and can I borrow this? Oh, I'll put Cash App. I'll Cash App you this. I'll Cash App you that. Like, if it becomes something so regular, how can you keep track of your money? I just don't think it's possible. And so I think if you're trying to be principled and you want to save your money, you want to avoid using like Venmo, I would say at the very least Venmo and Cash App. And there are some places, like when my friend wanted to get a house and she had built up her credit and she was saving money, she's finally at that point where she could buy a house, perhaps. She still had to go to a lender. And one of the things they did not like was that she had Venmo and Cash App. And so they were like, no, 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 you need to close it down because we can't be sure that money is going to be, available for you regularly. So she just closed them down, and she was able to keep better control of her money. And she's like, yeah, you know what? Now I can really get a handle over the money that's in my account. It's easier for me to be able to account for all of the money there. And that's what banks want to see if they're going to be give you a mortgage for a house. They want to see that you have that the money, the flow is controllable, and that you have control, that you can see the money coming and going. You can account for everything. Okay. So, um, so I'm just making you aware of that. Like I just think if you've got a Cash App or a Venmo, I would shut them down. This is the time right now where we're going through tariffs. It's really hard right now to find a job. If you have a job, if you're underemployed, it becomes problematic. If you have your job, be thankful. Be thankful. And if you don't have a job, you're scratching and surviving. And it is like good times almost, but minus all the fun stuff. And there's no boogerman or like fatsos, the janitors out here like jumping in to like add to the annex of the household and like and help us like fix pipes or whatever. So it is not a great time right now for you to be like spending money left and right, not be able to account for it. So, you know, I do remember things, and I know some of us remember that we had like layaway, and we were principled with our layaways. And people would get stuff, they'd like start now to layaway so that when Christmas comes, they could get those Christmas gifts for their kids out of layaway. I almost wish that they would bring layaway back. Now, granted, there were some people who were probably not able to get the things out for layaway, but layaway actually got people into the habit of making regular payments on something they wanted. Um, but anyway, I digress. Uh, Now, what I have been seeing lately is that they have these. It was weird. I'm just going to back this up a little bit. My bank contacted me and they were like, hey, this is like Wells Fargo. Hey, you can do a short-term loan up to $500 and we're going to like let you do it over either, I think, 4 payments or 8 payments or something. And of course, like the longer the payments, the more they were going to like have you pay like in a fee or something like that. And I thought about it and it was very tempting because I was like, oh, just have a little bit of money on the side for whatever. And that's what they kind of framed it as, a little mad money on the side just in case. And I said to myself, this sounds like a good idea. Then when I thought about it, I was like, well, what do I need like this little bit of money for? Because if I'm not using it, I'm just making payments on money that I'm not going to use. And then I give them the money back. That just kind of didn't make sense to me. And so I ended up not doing that either. And I'm glad I didn't. And they continue to send me this thing over and over again. Like every like couple months, they're sending me something like, hey, wouldn't you like to have these little like micro loans? They didn't call it micro loans, but I'm going to call it micro loans, like up to $500. And you could do X, Y, and Z. Isn't this great? And I'm pretty sure there's probably some people that were really like, yeah, this is great. I don't have to touch the money in my account. I can just use this. And they were probably using it. And I think this was just kind of a big setup because now they have these things called buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later. And with your buy now, pay laters, you are able to make a purchase or purchase something, whatever, or do DoorDash or do an Uber Eats or whatever, and then you just pay it off in installments. Even a flight, like I saw this also pop up, and I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, why would I want to pay for my flight in like installments? That's kind of weird. When I was thinking about making a trip to, I think Dubai or something. And and they're encouraging us like when I was like booking the trip, like, hey, wouldn't you love to like do this in installments and then you could fly first class or something? And I was just like, no, this would not be good because I don't want to have to pay all that extra money for a flight just so I can sit in at the front of the plane and then be able to. It just doesn't make sense. Like for me now, I value what I'm putting my money into. I hate putting money down on things that like 2 years down the line, I'm still making a payment on, and then the thing doesn't even exist anymore or is broken or whatever. I mean, think about it. Like And you can see I put a video filter on behind me because all of my stuff that I'm getting ready to sell are things that I purchased. Some of them are brand new, some of them are still in a box. And if I had purchased those when I was like, using like credit, I'd still be making payments on things. But and actually I did do that. I bought clothes for my nephews and my niece one year. I would say like in 2010 or something. And I realized in 2020, like the end of 2020, I was still making payments on my Macy's credit card for these kids' clothes. And I'm like, they don't even wear the clothes anymore. It's crazy. So anyway, I digress. Let's go back to this buy now, pay later. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so you get these buy now, pay it later. You're buying things that you may not even like. You look. If you eat food, and you're getting like Grubhub, and you eat the food, and then you're making installments on that food that you ate over time. That's crazy. And then if you're doing it again and again and again and again and again, you just keep taking out these small short-term loans. Not good. And so these buy now pay laters are backed by like these financial institutions like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, you know, things like that. And so I feel like these financial institutions, all they do is try to find schemes and ways of being able to pick our pockets and make us like do these stupid things to pay for things that and then extend it over time and take that higher interest and in those extra fees and then pay them like down the road. And they're taking this money from us poor people, because really that's what it is. We're regular people and they're taking it from us. Um, but like those installments that you get from the buy now pay later. So say you get a buy now pay later, like I did or thought about doing from Wells Fargo, $500. Great. And so they'll offer uh, you'll have a specific purchase. They'll offer you to be able to pay it off in installments. They'll say, oh yeah, pay it off in 4 installments. Now they're saying pay it off in 8 installments, and they stretch it out and they make you think like, oh, that's affordable. But the problem becomes if you're doing this over and over and over again, there are people who have like 14, $1,500 worth of these buy now, pay later like loans that they're paying back every single month. And if you miss a payment, they're going to put this huge chunk of a fee on you and they're going to charge you for that. And so then it will then add up again. Now, just to kind of compound this, like make it so that we can kind of see the severity of of what's like why I am really concerned about this. And I'm just going to pull this up because we were going to be protected from these buy now pay laters by the institution that was just closed down. Well, right now there's a moratorium. And this institution was called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. Okay, so, here's where I'm going to talk about. You have this buy now, pay later loans, they come with more risks. So they have companies. Have you seen these? Affirm, Klarna, PayPal, Sezzle. There are other ones as well too. Afterpay, Split It, or something like that. Quad Pay, Bread Financial. And all of these companies are offering these buy now, pay later things. But here's what was happening is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they were seeing this stuff coming. They were seeing it coming. And they were finding that if you bought something, for example, and then you returned it, you should then have these companies should then pay you back. These companies were not paying people back. So if I bought if I brought this Samsung phone and I made 3 payments on it and then maybe it broke and I said, you know what, send this crap back. And I sent it back. Getting the money back from them was like really hard. And of course, that's just one issue because again, you're also paying higher interest. It is a problem. And so they had a rule that they passed that said if if a consumer returns a product, these companies must give them their money back. So that's one of the things that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was doing. But unfortunately, they are in the process of being shut down by our new administration. And now that it is being shut down, there is nobody there to protect the consumer. This is why it's called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They were there to protect us and to advocate for us, and they are no longer there. And so now, if you are taking out these loans, I mean, good luck. We don't know what's going to happen. To make things worse, they now are incorporated because before this was not reported on your credit reports. And if they did do this payment, they weren't doing a pull on your credit. And every time someone does a pull on your credit gets a little bit of a ding. And so if they pull on your credit, there's going to be a little bit of a ding there because there are new rules, new laws that have been passed by this administration that have now come into effect. And one of them is they're going to allow these buy now, pay later companies to attach this to your credit report. And what we want to remember is what is it about credit reports is they like those when you have credit accounts, when you have accounts that have been open for a long time and you're making payments and you keep the payments, you keep the amount that you owe very, very low. Your debt to credit ratio, they want it to be really low. And so what happens if you start taking out these low, I would say, I wouldn't say low, let's call them short-term loans. And here you are acting like no biggie, and you're just taking them out over and over and over again. And there are all these hard pulls that are dinging your credit score. That's a problem. And if you miss a payment and that's going to be now reported on your credit score, that is going to be a problem. Now, I had some issues and my credit score went so far down. And I remember thinking my credit score was good. And I was talking to an attorney because I was like, I don't know what to do. And he asked me my credit score and I thought it was good. And he was like, no, I've never seen anything that low. And I was like, wow, okay. And I have been fighting to get myself back up and make sure I have timely payments. And, again, I don't have anything open that I'm not making payments for. I make payments for everything and I make sure everything is noted. I check my credit reports and everything. And I'm now in the 700s. But it took quite a bit of work for me to get to that point. I would not get there if I was taking out these short-term loans over and over and over again. Will they go up if you make the payments and you reach the end and now it's over and done with? And yeah, it could go up because it'll show that it's paid in full. But then if you then go get another one and another one and another one and another one, you see where this is going. This is going to be a problem. So you need to keep this in mind when you are doing a buy now, pay later loan. And this, I would think that this administration did it on purpose, but I would say they may have done it on purpose because we know that non-government government agency that was formed to look for fraud, waste, and abuse that's out there. The person that's over that non-department has his own buy now, pay later that he's doing for his company. So, of course, there's a conflict of interest if he walks in with his team of posse to the Consumer Financial Credit Bureau or Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and says, we're going to shut it down. That's a conflict of interest. Because now who's going to be there to regulate him when he does his little scam? Nobody. Okay, so you want to keep all these things in mind because these companies are predatory. I don't care if it's like, oh, but it's really take, it's over 8 payments and it's only $15 a month, and you're paying for groceries that it's like they're gone within a week, and then you like do your next set of groceries 2 weeks later, and then you like set up a buy now pay later again. This can be an easy way for you to do it, and you're kicking the can down the road because at some point they're going to get the money from you. So why not just pay it all down? Just pay it all now. Okay. Now, I'm giving you this warning because we are, we want to have good financial health. We want to make sure that we're not getting into these bad habits that is going to dig us deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. And that's what I feel like these predatory, I'm going to call them what they are. They're predatory short-term loans are going to pull us into a hole. Now, I think a lot of younger people are doing it because they're used to doing cash apps and Venmos and they have the little QR codes and boop, boop, and they boop each other money and all that stuff. However, if you are in that trap of doing buy now, pay later, I'm going to ask you to stop because right now is the time that we have to conserve our money. We are about to go into a hard recession. We now have tariffs in place. I saw a news report that said that if these tariffs are not solved by May 10th, we are going to start seeing bare shelves. We're going to have a supply chain issue. The first round of food and supplies and things that were coming from these other countries, they said, should have been ordered, I think, like about a week ago in order for them to make it in here now. And because that didn't happen, and they're saying the average time that it takes to like for things that come from outside the country into the country takes about 40 days. And so we're going to have some hard times coming up because all of these products that are coming from the outside are out there and they're not here. And so at some point we're going to start seeing bare shelves. And I need you to start thinking pandemic, because this is what's going to happen. If you don't have the money to be able to afford things like groceries and being able to take the bus to get to work and things like that, you're going to have problems. So you need to be able to account for your money. I cut out as much spending as I could. I have cut down all the way down to the bare bones. And I can't even believe that I was able to do that because about a year ago, I was spending like 3 times as much as I spend right now. Now, I can make money go a real long time. And I would not be able to do that if I was doing these buy now, pay later things. Don't kick the can down the road and make your life a lot harder when the recession hits, because it's not if, it's going to be when. It's going to happen. So, I just wanted to kind of like bring this in on the weekend because I know we get more people that are watching this channel on the weekends than on the weekdays because you have more time and you know that coffee can talk. um, but I want you to kind of think about that and just really, if you are doing these buy now, pay laters, get all of the buy now, pay laters that you've done off of Amazon and Grubhub and DoorDash and wherever else, Cedar Posturepedic or wherever you're getting these buy now, pay laters, and put them all together and start adding them up. Well, how much do you owe and over how many months? And if there's any way that you can get those payments out of the way and not take your credit card and just pay it off, because then everything's on your credit card. That's not good. But to pay it off, tighten your belt up as hard as you can and eliminate things that you are like, you know what? I really don't need this. Please do that. It's easy to figure out what you need. What do I do? I have two piles. I have a pile of like, I don't want this. I do want this. And then I take that pile of what it is that I want and I says, what do I need? And that goes into one pile versus what do I want? And that goes into the other pile. The wants are going away. The needs will stay. And so take a look at everything that you're paying for. And if there's not anything that you need, cut it out and start really kind of tightening up your belt, because we have to play the long game. This is the long game here. And there's nobody going to save us that when these things start going downhill. And I think they're going to go downhill pretty soon. Okay. I know it's a little bit depressing, but hey, here you go. Somebody's got to ring the alarm. So my name is Coffee Brown, and this channel again is Coffee Spills the Tea. You'll see it this weekend going up. If you could please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribed, and then also hit that notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will get notified. And if you could please do that, it doesn't cost you anything. I don't ask for anything. I'm just looking to grow my channel. And the algorithms for YouTube will help me as long as we're getting that kind of feedback. And we can bring other like-minded women, Black women, into the conversation as well. Now, when my goal gets, I said it 500, but I'm thinking when I can get to the point where I have 1,000 people, I really want to start hosting a nightly show where people can come and we do a live chat and talk about things that are coming up, because you need to start prepping, because I just feel like the landscape is getting a lot worse. So start prepping. All right, again, Coffee Brown, that's me. Coffee Spills the Tea, that's my page. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell and forward this video, forward this channel URL to other like-minded women, and let's all help each other and uplift each other. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you maybe at the end of the weekend, maybe not, and if not, early next week. All right, everyone, take care and bye.